In our first story tonight, digitizing land titles and records are now expected to start from next year. That is in January. That's according to officials of the Lands Commission from next year. This follows announcement from the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, that the process is expected to start, as we've been saying, next year. Now, Principal Officer at the Lands Commission, Timothy Anidoho, tells Joy Business it would cover parts of the country before it goes national.
Under the Land Administration Project 2, there has been some background work. Contracts have been given. The scanning of documents have been done for some part of the Lands Commission records. The emphasis is on part. This is not a national exercise at the moment. It's been undertaken as a pilot. So the records have been scanned. What we are doing now is doing what we call the user acceptance test to be sure the consultants have done the right things and they've digitized the maps for us. And we trust that by January, ending of January, the pilot would begin. And this pilot will be 10% coverage nationwide for starters. Yes.
Help me out with this whole thing. So how is it going to work out when they complete the mapping and capturing of all these documents? Does it mean that, George, I walk into, you just go into the PCs and search and pull out the data? How is it going to work out?
Well, for practical purposes, so you come to the Lands Commission, you submit your documents, we scan the documents, so therefore we are going to be working on a digital platform, meaning that the officers are going to work moving the documents digitally. What this will do is that it allows us to work with speed. It allows for quick retrieval of information. So maybe what we are doing now, taking months to do, will now be cut down greatly to a very short period of time. So you bring your documents you want to search, you pay for it, an officer then with a scanned document can quickly access the records, quickly get it out and get it for you. So it would cut greatly down the time that we use for processing.
Now, the General Mine Workers Union is calling on government to intervene in the impasse between the staff and the company. According to the union, it is time to invite an independent audit into the claim by the company. Now, Goldfields announced a change of its business model at the Takwa concession from owner mining to contractor mining as a result of unstable gold prices and the cost of labor in recent years, leading to a dwindling fortune for the company. The General Secretary of the Union, Prince William Ankor, has been explaining to Joy Business that the information put out by the head of West Africa Goldfields, Alfred Bako, is false and must be investigated.
It's a struggling defensive post rate that, well, it's active life of mine is really in my case that it makes sense. All we're saying that, look, we'll look at the case, business case that they put across, the problem statement isn't apt. They made a presentation, we punch holes into it, we say, look, where we are now, we are poles apart. But fundamentally, you don't call it bluff. It's important that we get a reputable international institution like Duluth and the likes of an economic intelligence units to get into it and advise accordingly. So that in the end, we don't end up having that conveniences where out of corporate greed. If you hear Alfred, he was just struggling because virtually the notion that, hey, we want to really return so much to our shareholders wasn't the case in point. So virtually it was a struggling outfund, and I could say his demeanor, he was struggling because virtually cost pressures wasn't the case.
You keep referring to their website, but don't you think it's also good in make business case when you present a good, presentation of your company on your website, but when you calm down, maybe they're just trying to...
Excuse me, that is really thievery. That is thievery, and I want him jailed. That is thievery. If you on the stock market, you don't go telling lies. Go back to those who put their names there.
So you think they put different cases on the side?
It's misleading. They can be jailed. It's misleading. That's why we want a reputable institution like the Duluth to get into it and pinpoint the truth. So nobody would take our members for a ride. He mentioned cost pressures. Excuse me, we have done a research. It's all chaff, my brother. It's all chaff. That didn't come into play. Excuse me, there is a supply chain model that drive the business. The cost issue that have been looked at, what they call business improvement initiative, it has brought a savings of $165 million over a 4-year duration. And that's how you get employees who are committed to a cause to do when they are really aligned and engaged. The model he's seeking to put across there is to suit one hints and capitalist office or his paycheck and his CEO, who frequently gets here, because if you go and read what is on there, the more he gets here, the more he can line his pockets. The more Alfred drives those costs down, the more he can get more. So virtually, it's really a corporate greed agenda, and we are saying that to hell with that. The whole world must know. If we are wrong, we'll say we're poor. But please, colleagues, don't let us think that these multinational conglomerates call the bluff. It's our nation. The gold is ours. And mine workers, I told you, they are financial institutions, SMEs in Takwa. The ripple effect is enormous. So we need to avoid any attempt of for grantedness and getting corporate excuses.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yalba, assured the workers of full support from the union. He says the TUC will be presenting a petition to Parliament on the matter to ensure that the right processes are followed.
I'll tell them that we are there to solidarize with them. And that is exactly what we do. That's what unions do. That's why we are in court, to protect their interests. So the unions are formed to protect their interests and to promote the interests of workers. And Ghana Mine Workers Union is the union in the sector. They have made a move. They've gone to court to try to stop this process. And so we are going to support them legally. We are going to provide more support in terms of lawyers, in terms of our own experience in dealing with these issues. This is not the first time we are dealing with an issue like this. And I'm sure that we'll find a solution. I'm just calling now on Alfred and his colleagues, the Executive Vice President of Goldfields, to come around. We know him. We have dealt with him. We've worked with him for a long time. And I did not expect Alfred and his team to do this kind of thing to Ghanaian workers. He's our brother. He's from Ghana. We know him. We've worked with him. And so with this and with all the red signs, we want Alfred and his team at Goldfields to know that we will not sit down for things like this to happen. We expect them to engage with us so that together we find a solution to this in the interest of the workers at Goldfields. Well,
Prices of imports have recorded a jump for the period between October and November, causing an increase in the inflation rate to 11.7%. Now, this constitutes an increase of 0.1% as compared to the rate of 11.6% as recorded last month. The main price drivers for the period include clothing and footwear, as well as transport, among others. Addressing journalists in Accra, acting government statistician Bawade attributed the marginal hike in inflation to price changes for non-food items purchased within the country. He later explained to Joy Business.
We explained that the marginal upward change in the inflation rate was due mainly to the rise of inflation in components of the non-food group. We have transport recorded an inflation rate of 18.6%. We have clothing and footwear 18.3%, recreation and culture 17.1%, furnishing, household equipment and routine maintenance a rate of 15.2%, and miscellaneous goods and services 14.0%. These were the key price drivers for the non-food group.
So if I may come in here, what contribution does the imported items play here?
Yeah, we also observed that imported items recorded a rise in its inflation rate. And on the convex, locally produced items recorded a dip in the inflation rate.
So the imported items moved the inflation?
Yes, and imported items actually influenced the upward movement in the non-food group.
Moving on, the new owner of ADB Belstar Capital is set to move its interest in the institution to Unibank. This is subject to securing the necessary regulatory approvals from the Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission. George Rafe has more.
Joy Business understands Belstar has given existing shareholders, especially government, the first right before it considers other investors in selling its investment in ADB to secure the expected amount. Sources say the decision might have been influenced by government's move to merge ADB and NIB, which may have not gone down well with the new owner of ADB, which is said to have some significant holding in the bank. When this transaction is concluded, Belstar should move at least 600 million Ghana cedis into Unibank, which will be in the form of debt and equity. However, this will not make Belstar the new owner of Unibank, but rather have significant stake in that bank. The capital injection will help increase Unibank's minimum capital requirement to almost 500 million Ghana cedis, helping it join the league of banks that have already met the new capital levels of 400 million Ghana cedis, and possibly the most capitalized bank in Ghana, even before the December 2018 deadline. Sources say Belstar has already reached an agreement in principle to carry out this transaction, subject to securing the required regulatory approvals. For some industry players, this move by Belstar could give credence to reports that government's plan to merge NIB and ADB could come on by next year.
Acting Corporate Services Executive of MTN Ghana, Georgina Asare-Fiagbenu, says the company has embarked on vigorous educational campaign to school its merchants on how to reduce the incidence of mobile money fraud. She said the situation was worrying as several people are being duped by fraudsters. Georgina Fiagbenu made the statement at a forum organized by MTN to interact with its key stakeholders. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
The purpose of the program is to share an overview of MTN's business performance in the previous year, what their focus for 2017 has been, MTN contribution to the telecommunication industry, and the growth of the country's economy. It is also to promote MTN's vision of leading the delivery of a bold new digital world to its customers and making customers' life a whole lot brighter. The forum was attended by key stakeholders, including heads of banking institutions, police and other service commanders, and media practitioners in the Upper West region. Acting Corporate Services Executive of MTN, Georgina Asare-Fiagbenu, noted that mobile money fraud cases has been on the rise, who they have embarked on vigorous education to nip the practice in the bud.
We've spoken to customers and we are also using the media to talk to customers. And one of the things we are saying is that under no circumstances should anybody give out their PIN code. Just as you will not, give your ATM card number to anybody, you shouldn't do that also with your mobile money PIN. So once that is addressed, we know that a huge percentage of the scam, would be controlled. What we are also saying is that if you haven't initiated any transaction, make sure you don't participate in it. So if anybody calls you to say, this is what we've seen, this is what we've observed, you did a transaction here, we want you to take this action, don't do it. You have to initiate the transaction.
She assured customers of MTN to try and take advantage of the new programs they intend to roll out next year.
So we are looking at 2018 where we provide more access and opportunities for people to stay connected. MTN is rolling out new technology to ensure that we are able to address the gaps in rural areas. We started this year, 2018 will continue, so that more rural areas will be connected to the network. We are increasing our 4G, 3G, 2G sites, and it's something that we'll continue to do in 2018.
Georgina Asare-Fiagbenu also threw more light on MTN Heroes of Change program.
We see the media doing a lot of interventions in their communities. The media are promoters of change in their communities, and so we want to give special recognition to one media person who we think has done a lot of change or promoted positive change in their community. And we are also going to give recognition to one celebrity, because we also see some of the celebrities doing a lot of CSR interventions. So the regular areas will still be there, and in addition, we'll give special recognitions to 2 new people.
One municipal commander of the Ghana Police Service, ASP Vincent Appiah, urged MTN to take the education of their merchants seriously in order to reduce fraud in the mobile money business.
If you go to the bank and you want to deposit money, not until the bank has received the money from you, check it and see that it is correct. They will never enter in your account.
You're watching Business Live. Let's turn to some other news now. And Funeral Home Service Provider Transitions has commissioned its headquarters at Hacho in Accra. The event has seen some business leaders raise concerns about the low investment in the sector, as well as the limited participation of the sector by Ghanaians. Here's more in the following report.
The event, which brought together players in Ghana's business landscape, is aimed at raising awareness over the need to improve investment in the sector. The Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, Yofi Grant, is entreating local investors to venture into the funeral home business. According to him, even though the business remains one of the most lucrative in the country, low investment in the sector has made it impossible for economic potential to be realized. Mr. Grant says increased investment in funeral home businesses should therefore go a long way to help create jobs and also boost government revenue.
The provision of this full-service funeral home is commendable. For me, it's commendable because it creates more jobs. Anything that creates more jobs and creates wealth is important to this country.
The general manager, Jodine Smith, explained to Joy Business the high cost of organizing funerals in Ghana should be reversed if the funeral home sector attracts more investment and is well regulated.
You know, the funeral industry in itself, it is, number one, it's not a regulated industry. So you find that there's a lot of small businesses operating within the industry. So there is a dire need for investment in this industry because it's one of the most expensive events that ever happen in a person's life, and you find that lots of families come together to try and give the deceased a befitting burial.
Transitions is a subsidiary of the enterprise group that, in the event of bereavement, offers comprehensive funeral services to individuals who sign on to the insurance policy.
Time to bring you the Joy Business Van, and well, product packaging is very important in attracting consumers. Now, most manufacturers place premium on it, and in introducing new product lines, indigenous carton manufacturing firm Font Packaging Ventures since 2014 has been providing packaging solutions for manufacturers both home and abroad. Today on the Joy Business Van, we get access to the ultra-modern factory. One, two, three. Close to 14 million cartons produced since its establishment in 2014. Font Packaging Ventures certainly means business. The family business was established by Frederick Osei Team and is managed by his son, Emmanuel Osei Team. We come to the ultra-modern factory at Spintex in Accra to get some more insight into the operations of the company, which sits across a 2.5-acre land space. Globally, the packaging market is estimated to total $442 billion with an annual growth rate of some 3.5%. Out of this figure, packaging made of paper, cardboard, and paperboard account for the lion's share at 46%.
When we started, everything was quite subtle. You only had a few economies booming, you had some not doing so well, some doing well.
But things have changed over time, as Emmanuel explains to us. There's a boom in the economy, especially in the manufacturing sector. A boom in the economy also means a boom in e-commerce. More people are shopping online, and as incomes rise, more people are also visiting the malls, and that means an increase in demand for cartons. There's a huge market out there.
Amazon is forecasted to use 7 million boxes a day this December alone for their production. So that is a phenomenon we're experiencing in Ghana now, with companies like Jumia, etc. coming up as well.
Font Packaging Ventures has worked for 129 clients since it started operations in 2014 for both local and multinational firms. Font Packaging's new factory would produce 3 million cartons to meet demands of the growing market. However, as Emmanuel points out, they have to grapple with inadequate supply of raw materials locally.
We have I wouldn't say failed ourselves, but we have not grown fast enough to establish our own paper mills here to supply our own industries. Because for the next 50 years, Africa is still going to be using paper more than any other economy in the world. So that is what we have to put in place, or what we envision needs to be done to ensure that at least there's some continuity for industries such as ours. But thanks to our connections with our long history in the paper industry, we're still able to get our paper stock to be able to produce and deliver to our customers on time.
And customers have become very particular about the quality of packaging. It's become a very important feature in product manufacturing.
As we've hit on a number of times, the middle income class in Ghana is growing rapidly. So now you have more and more people shopping in the supermarkets and shopping malls as opposed to the open air markets in the past. And this increase in shoppers from the supermarkets means that there'll be more demand for consumer goods. And the only way, or the only medium by which these consumer goods get to these shop shelves is through cartons. So definitely there's a huge reliance on packaging. And in order for the Ghanaian manufacturer to set their product apart from anyone else's, they need to focus on the quality. And that's what we are offering here. Very, very good, strong quality carton.
It's impressive to see a Ghanaian paper packaging company making remarkable strides, especially in just 3 years of operations. For Emmanuel, this is also fulfilling his dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. It has not been an easy task though, having started with no clients and sometimes pushed away because he was young. But that is not stopping Emmanuel from taking the family business to the next level.
We want to be known as one pioneering Ghanaian group that is making waves in the paper industry. Not necessarily just paper. In the future we may branch out to something else, but we want to be known as a major Ghanaian manufacturing institution or company across the continent.
At the moment, Font Packaging Ventures is not too far from that. Impressive, and they accomplished that in 3 years. Well, we'll move on now to our interview of the day, and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center says plans are far advanced to make Ghana the hub of business in Africa. CEO of the center, Yofi Grant, has been outlining key areas government will be prioritizing in 2018 to achieve this objective. According to him, access to capital and strengthening of business regulations in the country will go a long way to increase foreign direct investments in the country. He spoke to Joy Business at the CEO's breakfast meeting organized by the center.
Private sector and private sector over the years has had a rough time building up capital in this country. And I did mention that indigenously and domestically, we have not been very good at capital formation. And so you might meet potential great Ghanaian investors. And when you speak to them, then you realize that what they need the most is capital. And that makes it very difficult for them to invest. But we also don't want to see an economy that is fully foreign dominated. And so we want to ensure that even when there's foreign direct investment, it is in partnership with indigenous entrepreneurial talent. But apart from that, also to ensure that indigenous people can participate in the global value chains of these companies and acquire the requisite knowledge, experience, capacity, and capability to also become global someday. At the end of the day, what we want to see is Ghanaians become millionaires and billionaires as well. And even though we want to see a very much enlarged business environment, because that will also create jobs and jobs for people, and that's very important. We also want to make sure that we have an economy that is Ghanaian owned. And the best way to do that is to make sure that when foreign direct investment comes, it partners with Ghanaians. And that is a faster way of building Ghanaian capacity. I believe that the foundations that the economy is building today through the various agencies, Ministry of Finance, irreversibility and sustainability of a smooth growth paradigm, fiscal discipline and curbing corruption and all these things will create a very good foundation for foreign investors to find Ghana attractive. We believe that we do have the natural resource. Ghana is a very rich resource country. I mean, apart from gold, the gold, diamonds, iron ore, bauxite, manganese, we have other, other minerals that we can use, like salt, like all the other jewels and gems that we have. They are here. There are many other things, that we can actually develop on. But beyond that, the whole concept of repositioning as a regional hub means that you are ready now to engage both the investor and the market in West Africa. And so a lot of the reforms that are being done is to reposition Ghana in that space, that if you come to West Africa, you absolutely have no choice but to set up in Ghana.
Are you confident that this very target by the GIPC is going to be sustained in the coming year?
I believe so. This is a government that is extremely committed to its agenda. Very, very committed to its agenda. And it's very clear where, government wants to take the country. And I'm very confident and I'm happy doing what we are doing, that I see light at the end of the tunnel. This year, as you know, the economy has chalked some very successful positive steps. For example, we inherited a GDP growth of 3.3%. We are on track to achieve 7.9%, way beyond what was projected in the first budget. We've seen interest rates come down. We've seen the deficit drop significantly. And so we are setting the template for a great economy.
And that's our program tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwa. We are back same time tomorrow.